Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Famous for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'm ever stopping.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building a dynasty while the haters be trying me. But they hate from inside, you see, hate themselves in society. So I let them speak quietly while my actions speak wider. See, they be hiding in privacy with the screen, oh the irony. To hate someone who's trying to be whatever they would like to be. We all feel the anxiety, we make our own rivalries. Yo, so where is all the positivity? I feel like we all just hate on everything, it's killing me. Thoughts build quick, causing different possibilities. Negative thoughts will cause different disabilities. So do better, work hard under pressure. If you got no time, work smarter than ever. Don't ever let them tell you that you can't ever say never. And turn your mind into the truest of go-getters.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'm ever stopping.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
Hey, good everyone. This is Rangadad, not financial advice, just the way I'm looking at the market. Hopefully this is coming through okay. The internet in Thailand's actually really fast. Alright, so it's been a while too. Just still settling in. Bitcoin's kind of just been grinding up into this region where there's been quite a bit of trading before. Obviously, this is developing as quite a big volume node as well. Realistically, we've got to break above this horizontal line here, which on the 1 hour time frame was fairly big support resistance line. And we're struggling to do so at the moment. On the shorter time frames, it is looking like a bull flag. Pressuring the top of this, like it's not, at the moment, it doesn't look like it really wants to come down too far, but it really needs to push hard and break out. Still got some vector candle recoveries that it can do up into here, up into the 86 area, but not seeing a huge amount of short liquidity come in as well. So just don't know how much incentive it's got to do that. some we'll have a look at in a minute. But we are above this channel, which we've obviously is governed the last few months. We're above the 1 hour 50 EMA as well. For fuck's sake. So yeah, it's still at the moment postured to the upside on the 1 hour. Daily doesn't quite look as good. Jesus Christ. Could have sworn I've made that so it didn't pop up in that corner. But anyway. The daily we are still below the 50 EMA, and that's probably the biggest issue there. That's kind of what's been holding us down at the moment. And if we can get above that, then 88.5 is a pretty reasonable target. I do think though that if we're hitting that, then we should be at least running into the bottom of the value area. So value area lows sitting at a bit over 92k. And there's a fair chunk of liquidity at that sort of level as well. So it's struggling at the moment. It was a pretty quiet weekend, just following this little range we're in. And yeah, yesterday I was actually surprised we didn't get more sort of volatility than that with the US market. It's pretty small range. Like we had 3 hours of decent volume and then it just tapered off to nothing. Basically just crap. Looking at total versus stables, that is forming, or it is getting some resistance at a trend line as well. On the 1 hour in particular, it's staying above the 50 EMA. If it dips below, it's not dipping below for very long, but it needs to break through this trend line here. And the good news is there is some better vector candle recovery up here than even on Bitcoin itself. So it may want to try and do that today. If we break above that, next stop is this horizontal line here, I think, but potentially even into this vector candle up into the wick. So we could actually, what I'm thinking at the moment is if we go from there to this bull market support line, so this is basically anything below this we're in bear market, anything above that we can go back into a bull market. But from there to there, I think will get us back up into the value area low, about 92,200. And then I'd probably expect another rejection from there. So something will happen in the news that'll bring it back down. Well, that'll be the excuse anyway. Have a quick look at ETH. So ETH's just dancing around its point of control at the moment. Yeah, ETH back up into this region here, probably up into 1800, maybe a little bit higher, up into 1900, is definitely on the cards here. There is a fair bit of vector candle recovery to happen, and it's not leaving a lot behind it either. So there's not a lot of vector candle below, so which is a good thing. ETH's been leaving vector candles behind for ages though, so it's kind of on the shit list at the moment for investors by the look of it. CME is kind of holding this downward trend as well. There's a few trend lines here which are causing it issues. This one here is an interesting one. We get through that. We are dancing around that one as well. So, CME's got a bit of room to move as well. It's going to have an interesting level around 99,900 to 99,300, somewhere around there. Oh, all right. So Bitcoin miners are still earning below average at the moment. Well, they're not earning, they're in the red. Sentiment, so still quite high with smart money, increasing a little bit with dumb money. I'd say if we get across of both these into like the inside of these dashed lines, then chances are we're going to go on a decent run. But at the moment, this could actually stay like this for a little while. It's an interesting read at the moment. There's still a lot of fear in the markets. There isn't a lot of certainty yet around tariffs. Still got 90-day sort of pause. But that doesn't exactly create certainty, and the market craves certainty. IBIT back into a heavily traded zone here as well, and that's probably what's sort of put the brakes on this move to the upside. Looks like it's probably some profit taking here, definitely profit taking there. It's not. The fact we didn't have huge amounts of trades down here, and we're in a region where there was a lot of trading, a lot of decent trades prior to that over the last month. We could actually struggle to get much higher. So I've got to be a little bit careful of that. Coinbase, same sort of thing. It's struggling to get through this level, which that was probably a take profit. Need to break out of these ranges. Looks like some more profit taking on the way up here on Marathon Digital. Nothing major here either on the 2x long Coinbase, so not a lot of leverage coming into it for Coinbase. That's a little bit of weakness in my opinion. XLF, this is a little concerning. So some pretty big trades on XLF at the highs here. That could suggest that we're coming into an area where we might pull back. Let's just go over the last 30 days and see what it looks like. Yeah. They're not really showing up here. That most of the largest trades seem to be just above this level. It comes up in the top 10. May get a little push higher, which could coincide with Bitcoin pushing into that 92k area. But then I'd be very interested to see what happens around here. I'd suspect that's going to be a point for a pullback if we get that far. XLP, so consumer staples, is still moving up this week. So there's still a move into defensives. We haven't had any take profit yet, any big take profit on that move, so consumer discretionary struggling a bit. It's obviously not increasing as much as consumer staples. That looks like a take profit to me rather than a big buy. And technology is sort of coming into a level which has been previous take profit from the big guys as well. So we're actually at a level here where we could see pullbacks just based on what I'm looking at there. This one I've been watching reasonably closely lately. There's been a bit of a discrepancy between spot CVD and futures CBD. And why that's of interest is spot seems to really lead the market compared to futures at the moment. So the futures guys are lagging a bit. So you can see here spot volume delta was climbing quite a bit. And then we had a big pump, whereas futures was really low. Like futures didn't make a high until we actually got that big candle. So there's a lot of stop hunting and stuff in these moves. People are getting wiped out left, right, and center, and I think futures traders are a little bit scared of the market at the moment. But they did certainly come in quite hard in this little run up here. So whether that's enough to keep it going or not, we'll have to wait and see. But there has been a bit of an increase in spot volume delta just in the last few hours. So it's not making new highs or anything. And as you can see, like big pullback here just led to further downside, whereas futures kept climbing. So that concerns me a little bit. The times like this where we're wiping out liquidity left, right, and center, the market's really gunning for leverage liquidity. And to be more confident about another move up, I'd actually like to see us break this level on cumulative volume delta as we're breaking new highs here. Yeah, on the spot, so spot CBD. I think to me that's really a requirement to be looking at the next leg up. And it's probably going to be up to Asia today to do that, I'd say, unless we just go sideways again. Liquidation levels. Let's go model 1. So as you can see, yeah, just swipe the liquidations, and sideways. That's just market maker trying to get as much trading happening as possible. There is a big block up here, and that does show on the larger time frames as well. So 86,600 I think is a pretty good target level to the upside, but you got to be careful down to sort of 82.5 as well. It could just go either way. It's hard to pick at the moment. At the moment, we are still above those key moving averages on the 1 hour though, so upside is kind of more likely until we break below those moving averages. So same sort of levels even on the 3-day, 1 week, still same sort of levels, 86.6. There is a fair bit more below though. To really get into the levels above, there's kind of a gap up until this point here, around 88. There's a little bit at 87.5. I'd expect that to be a bit of a retracement level, just a little pullback. But I do expect this to be taken at some stage in the next couple of weeks, I would say. 2 weeks to a month. You want the market turning bullish again, and I think a break of this sort of level, this is the key one. So we do have some decent levels, similar levels further down. But once you get into this, there's not much above that. Let's just see. So you're basically into the 100K level once you're above here. So yeah, move into the 92s maybe, just to get to that value area low, which means it might even go into 93.8. But I don't know whether it's got enough energy to get up into here, which would put it back into the bullish control zone. Sorry, into the bull market. back above that bull market support line. This could stay like this for like a year or two. Market conditions at the moment are such that I'm not expecting it to go into these sort of levels anytime soon. Something could change, could get some certainty in the market, and things could go back into a bull run. Liquidity could start coming back in, but there's a lot of liquidity that's been wiped out of the market lately as well. So it's just something to keep in mind. All right, have a quick look at the indices. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, back above that trend is good, but there's so much resistance levels, like the 50 on a daily. Getting into the 50 and the 200 on the daily, I would expect pretty major sell pressure there. So up around 481 on the Qs. That would be vector candle recovery and a gap fill as well. So yeah, 482. It's going to be choppy to get there, but we are above the shorter moving averages as well. So chances are we do get there. I mean, these sort of moves were just nuts. Like, what was that? 12% plus on the day. Pullback, vector candle recovery, got to the midpoint and then a little bit, and then it's moved back up again. That suggests it is a real move, or there's more left in it. But as I said, I think these moving averages here on the daily around 20k is going to be a bit of a struggle to get through that. And this is a very interesting one. So this longer term trend line here, we are well below that on the equal weight Qs. And I think, again, coming up into these moving averages, you're actually going to be retesting this trend line from the bottom, closing gaps, technically up into 88 would be the gap fill. So maybe sort of choppy and up for the next week or so, and then something will happen. Probably earnings from one of the big guys, or earnings are disappointing across the board, and something will trigger it, and we'll move next leg down. After these sort of moves, the quick moves down, the big moves up, stuff like that, stats aren't great for the coming couple of months. Same here, S&P 500, these moving averages are the target, 5,600 on SPX, 565 on SPY, and again, that would be a gap fill at the moment. Just be careful though, there's going to be a lot of selling pressure there. It might only bring us back down into here, like we might actually form a bit of a W formation. There's a few things that could happen after that, but I think it'll be very hard for the market to move through 565. Yeah. Assuming we even get that far on this particular move. Equal weight, again, is well below the longer term trend line. Could even move that down into there now. But yeah, equal weight was sort of one that was giving us pretty good levels on the tops here. Failure to reclaim that trend line there was a big one. Yeah, at the moment, I still think we're going further down at some stage this year. But for the time being, looks like probably up into these levels here. IWM, it got slammed. It touched that 173 level, which we thought would be a pretty critical one. Vector candle recovery, but did it gap fill? I don't think it did. Whoops. No, it hasn't properly gap filled yet. So again, moving back up into this trend line probably. Back up into this key resistance level. Previous support, it's probably going to be resistance. Probably going to get some rejection from about 197. And that has been a key level in the past. Around that 197 to 200. Even 203 would be the gap fill and vector candle recovery as well. XLI, so industrials struggling a bit too. Same sort of thing, up into 133 is on the cards. Not guaranteed. XLY, XLP. So it's still firmly to the downside. It's got a bit more of a trend line now though. So be looking to see what happens around here, whether it can actually break above, reclaim, like retest and move away. That could find us a bottom for the next few months. And my base case is still we won't necessarily see the full extent of this drop or the worst part of it for the next 6 months or so. Could be wrong there. The speed of the drops and the recoveries the last couple of days, statistics aren't great on that in terms of it doesn't take long before you get the next leg down. But if the market can get some certainty around tariffs and things like that, it would probably settle down. If earnings are still okay this earnings season, then that could calm the markets a little bit as well. But it's just we haven't seen anything actually properly broken yet. The credit system and the bonds are certainly flashing some pretty major signals, but we just haven't seen that major trigger yet. So like a Lehman Brothers event or a flash crash on markets due to a bubble bursting or something. It's been pretty well contained so far, I would say. RSP, so equal weight, XLP versus SPY. Sorry, XLY, XLP. Same sort of deal. It's still downtrending. Needs to have a decent move up. So this is XLP versus SPY. So we did break above that resistance level briefly, back down below it. So there is room for this to move back, bit of mean reversion into these moving averages. Yeah, if we start trending back to the upside on these indicators though, then it's going to be more downside on markets would be imminent, I would say. Particularly if we can claim this resistance level and retest it and move away, that's going to be big. Like that'll be a major move, and you'll probably bottom on that move once we hit this trend line here, and then you'll get bounces and then probably further down again later on. So for the time being, this can still go sideways for a little bit, but we'll be looking for that to claim some key levels. Same with this one. So this is equal weight XLY versus SPY. Sorry, XLP versus SPY. Would have preferred it to come into that level. I mean, yeah, this is a level. That sort of region there that it's rejected from, that is a level, but I thought it'd go a bit further than that. Anyway, we'll put that in that's now confirmed as a resistance level. So break above that. and a retest would be pretty important. So KRE, regional banking, found support on that level. Back up into here, vector candle recovery, gap fill. I think that's possible. Just need that bit more certainty in the market. Same with financials. I haven't got any trend lines on there, but yeah, came right into this peak here and bounce. I don't see these recovering to new all-time highs yet. There are some gap fills and vector candle recoveries, but I think you're hard pressed to call for that right now. I think that 50 level on XLF is going to be an important one. So put that in there. DJ, let's do semis. Semis back above that vector candle recovery line. I mean, we could just be forming big ranges here. Spikes above those ranges in the next few months to recover these vectors. Yep, totally possible. But for the time being, yeah, it moves up into these moving averages. I think going to find resistance at the moment. See what happens when they get there. DJI versus gold is still struggling. Like, that's still very much downtrending. If we break below these levels again, then you'd expect the market to actually drop further. This is mainly because gold is going so strong at the moment, though. It just tells you that basically investors are fleeing to safety at the moment for the most part. Baltic Dry Index is dropping as well. Yeah, VIX had a good spike as well, up into 60. Shit, that's pretty high. Kind of. I want to see what happens to the VIX when it gets down to this level. Skew might have finally found a bottom. So skew up into this trend line, I think, would be a reasonable target. I'd be looking for pullbacks there. Skew is pretty elevated, or it was pretty elevated at this point, and this, remember, we were using that to suggest that we are pretty overextended at the moment. And yeah, it fell off a cliff, so not a bad signal, this one, and pretty good looking double bottom on it. Looks similar to this sort of structure here, which did lead to a reasonable pump. So VIX one day, that surprised me actually. That is such a massive spike on the one day. Huge one day volatility. So yeah, I think again, VIX one day back into these levels, and then we'll see what happens. But at the moment, everything's suggesting there's still a little bit longer left in this. Let's have a look at. So we are at pretty extreme volatility as well. Just wanted to look at advanced decline line. Oh, this has been supported by global liquidity a little bit as well. I wouldn't say it's looking great. It's flattened off and slightly up and to the right, but it's not terrible. So advanced decline line. Yeah, it's putting some pressure on the moving averages there. Again, if we move up and we don't hit a new all-time high on advanced decline line, then it's probably going to lead to quite a bit more downside on that. I'd be looking for a rejection on this around that level. I think that would be an interesting spot for it to get to. I'll look at DAX. Same sort of thing. DAX is actually looking a little bit stronger, to be honest. That looking more like a V-shaped recovery than some of the others. DAX might even reach up into 22.2. HSI. Wow, that's a massive retrace. It got slammed. That was 3 legs up too. So if you're looking for a reversal here, and by that, typically after 3 good moves up, you may get something where it comes down, pulls back up into this region, puts in a lower high, and then we actually start going down again. That's a concern for me if we start doing that, because basically it'll mean the Chinese market's screwed as well. And then probably at the same time everything else is screwed, and then you get a global financial system issue. UK 100, wow. It's going to struggle through here. Like, that's a lot of volume traded through this region that's butting up against. It should recover this vector candle, at least probably up into the 200 moving average there, 8,300, but it's probably going to struggle beyond that. Japanese market, same sort of deal. It recovered this vector. But again, I think it's just so much overhead resistance now, and there is a lot of issues in the economy. We're due for something to actually break once we start hitting the key resistance levels again. TLT, wow. See, this is the thing, like TLT in times of fear should really be moving up stronger than what it has been. It's got a key resistance level there at 94.6 now too. Yeah, we actually need to have an issue with jobs so that the Fed starts cutting interest rates, I think, because the Trump policies have done a reasonable job at reducing interest rates, so the US debt repayments have been minimized, but it's not great doing it just with that. It needs some actual Fed intervention as well. Wow, what the hell happened to Aussie bonds? Yeah, I mean, bond markets are still in a downtrend at the moment. LQDIF, didn't get any of these things happening. It's still an interesting zone for me. I think that'll be pretty heavy resistance, but for the time being, we're still below key trend line here. Probably even change that to be just there. So again, moves up into moving averages, I think are on the cards till we see something major break. And credit default swaps and stuff like that are showing some pretty major issues. And rumor is that it was those and some issues with bonds that led Trump to do the pause, which would make a fair bit of sense. He'd be getting a fair bit of pressure there. So yeah, yields have obviously dropped quite significantly, and the lower these are, the more chance you've got to actually have the economy go okay for a little bit longer. But if yields start spiking, I think that's going to potentially break something. 10 years hovering in an interesting region. Let's see where we are on this one. Yeah, still pulling back. Let's look at the monthly. It's a decent pullback. Again, I don't think we're at the bottom until we actually at least hit this trend line. Potentially even a bit further. Right, go back to copper. Copper got destroyed. I mean, Dr. Copper's suggesting that we could keep going a little bit more. Interesting trend line there that it bounced off. Some good levels there. But again, it's had some 3 pretty good legs up. I don't think it'll go to new highs. I'd be surprised if it does. Gold, on the other hand, pretty major levels. It hasn't come back into my target yet. I'm not interested in trading this one up. It could get to 5,000, but yeah, just not going to be doing that. Silver. Silver's recovered a bit. Again, this is a risk-off sign. And the fact that the silver to gold ratio broke through a key level to the downside, that is not great. Like, typically that's met with another 20 to 50% downturn in the markets. In general, it's a major risk off signal, that break. So again, could bounce a little bit back up into these sort of levels. So somewhere, damn it, I always struggle to find the one I want. So potentially somewhere in this range. I know that's a pretty big range, but that's sort of between 2 key levels, this spike low here and the previous sort of lows through here. I think somewhere in there, the silver to gold ratio, if it pulls to the downside again, then that's going to be a signal that there's more big downside moves coming. US oil, interesting spot to turn around. Yeah, it's a previous high here. And there's probably actually a volume node through there once if you brought the volumes back into here, but realistically, I would have expected that to come down into the 50 mark. 50 to 51 would have been a better level. It might get there eventually anyway. It's got a bit of work to do to get even just above these short moving averages on the daily. But certainly could do it. I think that value area low there at 68 is probably a target. Getting back above these, people will think that it's going back to another high, which it could do, but I'd say there's going to be a fair bit of resistance in that region there. So probably somewhere in here. Be looking for some pullbacks. Dixie, wow, it fell off a cliff, didn't it? Yeah, that's found support right at this bottom here, which was previous resistance as well. It's got to really hold that level. I have a funny feeling it might for a little bit, but dare say we'll see lower than that at some stage. Aussie USD. Interesting. Massive spike low. Yeah, suspect the Aussie dollar will come back into there at some stage. Japanese yen. Global markets are all over the shop at the moment, but generally the trend is down for the US dollar still. Need to see some crosses of these moving averages on the daily to really suggest we're going back into an uptrend on the US dollar. So yeah, global liquidity, it retested, fell off a cliff. Did it hit that level? No. Probably a little bit to go to the downside on that too. It's at a fairly highly traded zone. Got down to this level here by the look of it. Just want to confirm when things bounce, you kind of want to confirm that they bounce from a reasonable level, and then that becomes your support level. And if it breaks that, then your next level's next one down. So yeah, looking okay at the moment for a bit of a bounce, but geez, it's struggling. It's not bouncing as hard as you would like to see if you're keen on markets going up a long way. Good level there for a bounce on. Good level there for a bounce on percentage of stocks above 50-day moving average. And those sort of confluences there can give you confidence that the market has found a temporary bottom. Yeah, so 32% down, on the Mag 7. Pretty major move. Definitely confirm that as a support level now. But this is going to be an interesting supply level too. Moving averages overhead. Crossing of those moving averages too on the daily is not great. Be interesting to see if we can get back up there. At this stage, I don't think it will. We've got a long way to go before earnings on Nvidia though too. When's Tesla? Tesla's only next Tuesday. That'll be a pretty critical one. I dare say it'll move up into that. If we're hitting these levels before earnings, then I'd actually be very interested to see what happens, because I think we've got a vector candle recovery here. If earnings smash it for Tesla, then that could actually drive the whole market up, and we are putting in a bit of a W pattern here at the bottom, so not a bad reversal pattern. It could just be a vector candle recovery and then it'll move down though, so it's going to be a bit of one to watch. Could set the tone for the rest of the market. Google will be another interesting one as well. Microsoft back into a key supply level. And it's a week or so away. Arcade just creeping back inside its channel. That channel's held Arcade for ages. Apple, again, moving averages, gap fill. Still got a bit of vector candle recovery up further as well, so that dashed line there is potential target. When's Apple's earnings actually? Yeah. So we could just grind back up into these levels and then earnings would just push it back down next leg. 3M earnings. It finally got hammered. 3M was holding for ages. so much longer than everything until the day where everything just crashed. 3M's actually a strong looking stock still. And to me, this one's a bit of a bellwether for the actual economy. The fact that it hadn't dropped too far, it wasn't, and we hadn't had any major news, just meant I didn't think we were going to go like just complete shit the bed scenario. Amazon though, it is another bellwether for the actual economy, so consumer economy anyway, and it's not looking great. Yeah, that retest and move away basically from Meta. That's not looking particularly good either. Airbnb. Again, if Airbnb dips again, I actually want to grab some. I think Airbnb at 82 is probably going to be a pretty good buy. Just earnings have been pretty solid for Airbnb. They got a fair bit of cash in hand. Anyway, AMD, it's going to struggle with this trend line, I'd say. Might push through and retest that 50 there. EVGO, yeah. Nothing's really breaking key trend lines or moving averages to the upside yet. TSM's a couple of days away from earnings, so that could be a key one as well. That could give us a bit of an idea of where, and same with ASML, both this week, could give us an idea of where Nvidia might be going. And if they go bad, then it could really drag the market down. Stellantis, yeah, it'll probably hit these levels at some stage. Ford. Ford just smacked that level we had. Yeah, that was a good level for Ford, but again, I don't think it's going to break any records or anything. Aussie market. Yeah, I think we'll hit moving averages here, but yeah, it's going to have to do some work. Could even get an inverse head and shoulders forming on some of these markets. If things go well and the markets turn out to be healthy and we get a soft landing, all that kind of crap, then we could actually get something like that, which this is just postulating here, but yeah, a measured move on something like that could be as much as your all-time highs. So, yeah, we could get another little scare, a little pullback, forms the other shoulder, and then, yeah, head and shoulders have been failing lately though, so you're going to be a bit careful on that. Alright, QRA. Yeah, I'll just have a quick look at Sol. Sol's actually above its point of control. That's a bit of strength there for Sol, which could be a good omen for Bitcoin as well, actually. Litecoin, not as strong, but it's trying to really get back above that 13 EMA. Let's see what happens with that. Yeah, alright. What's that one? So, yeah, at the moment, these indicators are just, it's been so choppy over the last couple of days. Still above some pretty decent moving averages. Just the contraction on the Bollinger Bands and stuff, like the 1 hour Bollinger Band, 25 period, 1 standard deviation is just, it's been sausage fest. So skinny. So it's coiling. There's going to be a break in one direction. At the moment, it's postured more towards the upside. That could change in a heartbeat. All we really need to be breaking is breaking that 200 moving average there on the 15 minute, which is the 50 on the hourly, and then could get some support here. And there is a bit of a range forming here as well, so there's a bit of a bull flag, so got to keep that in mind. But if we're breaking back below 80k, then I don't know that it's really going to stop. I think we'll end up hitting that sort of 70k that I was mentioning before. And with that one, we turned around in no man's land. It was a measured move from this bear flag from the previous leg down. We got a similar leg down, and we got another bounce. So that was not a bad measured move, but this stage, I was a little surprised that we didn't get to the bottom of this and recover some of this vector candle here, or even into this value area high here on the bigger range. I do think we'll get there at some stage, but at the moment we're kind of in between. 92,200 is not a bad sort of target. Just needs to show some strength. Volume hasn't been great apart from these two bottoming candles here. It was a good retest of that vector candle recovery plus a retest of the middle of that channel and move away, but it's really struggling to get through this 50 EMA on the daily there. We'll see how it goes. What have I done with the leap? Do I actually even have any trades on at the moment? I haven't actually traded this in the last couple of days, but I left a couple of longs on. It's been a fun one, this leap, actually. I was traveling when the big drops were happening, which wasn't great, but lift that up into there now.